Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 28th episode of Cool Down Timer. I am Neefu, and with me today, I am joined by Zingles Art Man.
Stop all the downloading!
And from the thawing wastelands of Alaska, Mark Hamilton.
Blaze kick! But yes, it's nice. It's been 40 degrees all week. Very pleasant.
I want to bring something up really quick before we get too far. You said the number. You didn't say the very number.
I know. It's been inconsistent.
No, it hasn't.
It has been rather inconsistent. I've listened to all the episodes, so I actually know that. Unlike some people who've listened to all of one episode.
I've listened to like 2 now.
You make me sad, boy. So.
Don't you like to hear yourself talk?
No, no, not really. I mean, it's great that we did this and everything, and I enjoy it a lot, but I don't really have any reason to go re-listen to it.
So, this week was a little bit of an interesting week for Mark and I, and we got to at least address it for a couple minutes, and then we'll move on to something a little more lighthearted, but, you know, potential depressing warning for the next couple minutes. So yesterday, my grandmother died, and a couple days back, I believe it was, Mark's grandfather-in-law also died. So, I don't know. It's just been a very rough week for us over here. Mark and I ended up having a conversation the other night about the philosophy surrounding death. It was a very, very good conversation.
Yeah, and I got a cat, so my week's been rough too, potty training and stuff.
Your cat just pooped on that stupid towel like 10
You're
minutes
afraid
ago.
of poop.
Yes.
You are actively afraid of poop. I was very surprised by that.
I have no idea how I'm going to be a parent.
It's kind of terrifying.
But yeah, so
Poop is nothing to fear, my friend. Poop is within us all.
it's true. I don't know, Mark, did you want to comment at all about the past week?
Yeah. Well, it's just I'm realizing I'm getting to be about that age where grandparents start dying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
At least that seems to be the case, considering we have, you know, we're the same age. We both have.
And instead of letting us down, we decided to write a song about it. Hit it!
What is wrong with you, Sam?
He doesn't.
What is wrong?
He can't handle pain. It's funny because we've talked about some darker stuff over some of the last couple episodes, and every time Mark and I try to discuss it seriously, you always try to pull us out of it.
It's a defense mechanism.
No,
I don't like it.
It's a circle of life, I guess.
This has been saying way too many times in the last couple episodes. I'm not going to do it. Not going to give in. It's too easy. I sang it in one of the last episodes.
Well, like, you know, my grandpa.
When we introduced La Mufasa.
Grandpa died just like last year-ish. So, It's just that age, I guess, you know?
How old were your grandparents? Well, how old was your grandfather and then your wife's grandfather?
My grandfather was in his mid to late 80s. I think he was 88 actually, so that's late 80s. Not sure exactly how old my wife's grandfather was. I know he was, I think he was in his mid to late 70s, possibly early 80s, I'm not sure. And, well, my other grandpa died, like, years before that, but I never met him, so it didn't really affect me at all.
My dad's dad died before I was born, so I never knew him. He was never there.
Yeah, I'm the worst at funerals. Like, I'm the worst person, because...
oh, really? A period of time where people are trying to spend solemn moments?
Dude, I don't know how to act. Like, I mean, I mean well, but like,
surprise.
I feel really awkward because like, I've never been in, okay, so, I mean, I've lost great grandparents and that's it so far. And so, I mean, on that, I mean, that was sad and everything. And I really liked them and everything. And, but it's still, it's not like anyone's super close, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was alive when my great-grandfather, well, alive and able to remember things, more importantly, when my great-grandfather died. And that's like, well, I mean, he was 101 when my great grandfather died. So at that point, you're like, well,
Props, dude. Well done.
Jeez.
you made it. Honestly, if I could pick
Level
a
cap.
death, I want his. I mean, he just kind of died while making a sandwich.
Wait a minute, Mark. Didn't you say you wanted to die fighting a bear with a sword?
No, I said I wanted to fight a bear with a sword. I didn't want to die while doing it. I planned on succeeding.
Anyway. But yeah, no, I don't have a personal experience of where I was at, so what I would want people to react to me, and the only experiences with funerals I have is kind of removed, and when I'm in those places, even though I'm sad or whatever at the time, it's at a point where I would love for someone to cheer me up a little bit, and so I don't know what to do in those situations.
I know just what you mean, because when my grandpa died last year, there was the memorial service, and I actually spoke at it because I'm a communications major, so they expect you to say things. But afterwards, I ran into a cousin that I hadn't seen in a long time, and so it was the awkwardness of, one, haven't seen you in a long time, and two, this is a sad event, and I didn't know what to say, and then my brother Steve popped in, and he got the conversation flowing instantly by just saying, "So, been playing any video games lately?"
I've heard the story.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what to say.
I'm not the best social person in the world. We all know this. None of us really are in our own special ways.
Amen.
That's why we do it over the internet.
So that you can actually get to feel for who we are without actually having to know us.
On the podcast, introverts can be extroverts.
Be our friends, everybody.
My grandmother was 91, 92.
This is the one that I've met, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
the one with Alzheimer's. And
Her husband looks so much like you. Like a very old, more
black.
yeah, version of you. More wherever he's from version of you.
Yeah.
Very hospitable guy though.
Oh, yeah.
He's really nice.
But yeah, the kind of really, really crappy thing about my grandmother's situation though is that for the last 15 years, maybe 20 years, so basically most of my time knowing her, she hasn't been who everybody else knew her to be because she had Alzheimer's. And so basically these last 10 years have basically been her sitting in a bed screaming at you whenever you walked by, telling you that she was going to break your neck and calling you a jackass, but in Spanish.
Oh, that's why I didn't understand anything.
Because she would always, whenever you'd walk by, she would always scream like, it's like really vicious Spanish tone. But I don't know that it's really sad and depressing, and I don't know, like it's the same disease that your Discworld guy author has. And Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, that's salt. Yeah.
And I don't know, especially as a writer, a disease that like makes it so you can't properly use your mind, your brain. Oh my gosh, like with the experience that I have had as a third party watching my grandmother's situation, and I don't know, I was talking to you about this, Mark, the other day. But it's kind of opened up my mind to, if I ever find out that is the route that I am heading, but I am still in a very full capacity of mind and body, that I would rather, I don't know, take things into my own hand and whatnot instead of having to live 20 more years trapped in a body that won't die as a shell of who I was.
Apologies to everybody listening to this episode. I'll try to change the subject soon.
No, it's
a couple more minutes.
Because that was like the darkest line of all time. I'm gonna need another cup of coffee.
No, it's depressing, but it's like I don't believe in suicide. I do not like suicide. I don't
believe in it. I don't think it exists.
I don't like it one bit. But that's one of the scenarios where even someone like me who's very against suicide has to think like, gosh.
Yeah.
Whew. You know?
Isn't it interesting how, like, for different people, though, different parts of, like, different things drives them. Like, okay, for instance, like, you're saying as a writer, that would just be the worst thing. For me, no hands, worst thing.
Yeah.
That freaks me out. I'm actually kind of, like, I used to be really careless with what I did and everything, and I've got scars to prove it and everything. But now I'm like, man, if I did something in my right hand, that would be really bad. I need that to draw.
Yeah. No, and like when I had my concussion a couple years back, I mean, I like my brain is I use it for everything.
And my eyes too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that freaks me out.
But no, I had a concussion a few years back, and I just couldn't do anything that used my brain, and all I could do was just sit there and zone out. And what did I do? I tried to learn Windows 8 for the first time.
I remember that.
That was so stupid.
Dude, you were calling me so much. You were so down.
I was, yeah, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, death is fun.
Eyes and hands. Especially my eyes, though, I think.
You need to, well, on a more lighter note, Zam, you just reminded me how I was listening to this podcast that had Dave Kellett, who does the webcomic Sheldon. And that's like his career, you know, and they were actually talking about being afraid of losing your hands or something happening to them. And he's like, yeah, I use that to get out of work around the house, you know. My wife's like, can you get up on that ladder? And be like, this hand is insured for $1 million.
That's amazing.
Well, I don't know. Speaking of webcomics, I mean, we can definitely shift away from the darker stuff.
Let's take
now.
a minute break so I can get more coffee and we can get this out of our system because that made me sleepy.
Are you ready to try something new? Do you enjoy the sun but sometimes say, nah, not every day? Why don't you try Alaska, land of mountains, oceans, and perpetual darkness for one half of the year? Do you get tired of biting your tongue when you eat? I know I do. Ouch! How am I supposed to enjoy this pasta with a bit tongue? Now introducing the Masticator, a pre-chewing device that will eviscerate your food into healthy pre-salivated globule that you can just shove down your gullet. No chewing required. It's also good for people who have no teeth. Or cats. Get your Masticator today. It's internet. There's a reason why I did not go into a career as a salesman. For example, if I were to try to sell you a computer, I'd say, what you looking for in a computer? And you'd probably say, something that computes. And then I'd say, this one looks good, try that. Well, I could tell you how to make a delicious lunch. First, you take some chicken, then you wrap it in dough. And dough is a lot easier than you'd think. People say it's hard, but it's not. Just take some yeast, you know, maybe half a tablespoon, teaspoon maybe. Just throw that in some flour, add some water, maybe a little bit of oil, knead it around. You got some dough. You can let it rise if you want. It's all good. So just take that dough and wrap it around the chicken. And then stick it in the oven. 450, 20 minutes. Should be good. Delicious. Oh, you're back. I was just telling the audience how to make a delicious lunch.
And we're back.
Yeah, so now we took a quick little break to clear the death from the air.
And get coffee and shrimp.
So yeah, okay. So what were we talking about? We were talking about webcomics. Mark, you are crazy into webcomics. Yes.
I am a fan. Yes, I do the rounds.
What do you love about webcomics?
Well, I could say a lot of things about the unrestrained nature of the independent artist, the lack of editorial controls, the freedom, the infinite canvas, but really the first reason I got into webcomics is because they're free. They are free.
That's a good point.
You do not have to pay for them. There's free entertainment to your eyeballs every day. And also, I love comics. If you don't like comics, you're not going to like webcomics because they're comics. But I love comics. No, webcomics are just, they're great. Love them.
I don't know. I've never really read a lot. I started a couple that you sent me links to, and I don't know. I have trouble going back to them. I find that I have a real hard time going back to something. Like, I've just now started getting into a pattern where I will watch certain YouTube shows that I follow every week. I know, I'm so proud of myself. I mean, I check that guy with the glasses, and I check Community, and watch the Community episodes every week.
You don't check Community. You wait for me to tell you there's a new episode.
No, I know that they go up on Thursday.
This is a couple weeks.
They air on Thursdays.
The season finale just aired for us this week, so don't. Yes, Community ended a few weeks back, so just, move on.
Well, that's yeah. That's what I mean by I do the rounds, because that's basically what I do. If I'm like, I'm going to read some webcomics, I get up, fire up pvp.com, pvponline.com, and then I just have a whole round after that. It's like a schedule in my brain.
Yeah, I don't do that.
PvP, then XKCD, then Sheldon, then Evil Inc., then Giant in the Playground, which of course is the home of Order of the Stick, then Erfworld, then Goblins, though Goblins hasn't updated in forever.
I know it's Wednesday because there's a new zero punctuation.
Then Gunnerkrigg Court, and then I try to remember any random ones I haven't checked in a while.
Huh. I have a hard time doing that.
I'm with you on that.
And then I click aimlessly around the internet because I have nowhere else to go, but I'm just in the mood to surf.
See, I'm never in the mood to just surf around the internet. I always have a reason for being on the internet. Because if I'm not on the internet, I'm usually hanging out with my fiance. And so when I'm on my computer, I'm usually watching something and drawing or playing a game. There's very little time where I'm just... In fact, there's no time where I'm just surfing, which is why I don't really ever get on Facebook. Facebook's really good for just scrolling through and entertaining yourself looking at little words, and that's just not fun to me. I don't get it. Ain't natural. People weren't made to have 7,000 friends.
Yes.
It's true.
Yes, but it can be hard to get into webcomics because, take newspaper comics, like Garfield, Marmaduke, That's pretty much, in those days, it's like you buy the newspaper, whatever comics the newspaper has, those are the comics you read. Maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but that's the ones you got. With the internet, you've got every possible comic, but you don't know where they are unless someone tells you and says, hey, this is a cool comic. So it can be hard to get into it.
You mean the same way that it is with podcasts?
Yeah.
Like and share.
Yeah, exactly.
Please.
We're so alone.
The internet's an interesting place.
Oh, I forgot Dr. McNinja. That's on my rounds. Oh, and Girl Genius.
Do not like the art for that.
My problem with webcomics a lot of times is that, I don't know. I like actually having a physical book. I've read...
You would be proud of me. I actually, over the last month and a half, have bought 2 physical versions of comic books.
Physical book 5.
Only because they didn't have digital versions available.
Oh, I take that back.
Well, I mean...
I revoke that high five. I don't know, it's just easier to read, I feel like. And, for me... I've read quite a bit of manga, but I always do it in the actual book form. I can't get into it on the computer. I can't read a comic on the computer for very long. I'll read 3 pages and get bored.
It's because you need a tablet. That's the optimal digital comic book reading.
But I would rather have a book and actually be able to flip through the pages and see the art that way. That's just me.
Well, one thing I like about webcomics is that they're all there. If I find a webcomic I like, I can just go to number 1 and just start reading. And I won't have to stop unless I want to stop. I won't run to the end of the book and say, oh gosh, what happens next? I got to find the next book. And then the library doesn't have it. And it's at Barnes & Nobles, but it's a little expensive.
I haven't had this problem at all because there's usually always the next issue available. Just one click and $2 away.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the advantage of the digital media.
I don't know,
Comixology for the freaking win. I love this website. I spent at least $1,000 on there over the last year.
Comics.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
No, that's
$1,000
That's the
on
problem
comics.
with comics in general is that they are a
really
very
expensive
medium.
thing.
But not webcomics. Webcomics you get for free because they work off the webcomic model. Well, there's a few different models, but there's one big one used by the Half Pixel crew, as they're known in the webcomics verse.
And how is that?
Well, it's basically the model is give away your product for free for the purpose of building an audience. Get an audience. Basically the goal is the dedicated 1,000. And the idea is if you can get an audience of 100,000 or 500,000 or 1,000,000, as long as you can take at least 1,000 of those fans and have those fans be big enough fans that they buy merchandise, they buy print books, they kickstart, they do whatever for about $100 a year, then you're making $100,000.
That sounds like what we want to do with this. Look for information on the Patreon soon.
Yeah, Patreon's really shook stuff up at a time when it needs shaking up because print book sales are starting to go down. The old purists are getting older or dying out. People don't want a dead tree book anymore.
In all seriousness, we are actually looking into doing a Patreon sometime relatively soon. I don't know when that will actually become available because my next couple months are really busy. But if you are interested in supporting us and you enjoy what we do, we are working towards finding ways to give you the opportunity, if you are so inclined, to help support us.
So off subject, guys. So I've been in a kind of depressed streak the last week. This has just been a rough week for everybody, and just for random.
How can you be depressed? You got a little kitty cat.
No, and she helps, but
unless she poops
dude,
on the flank.
Seriously, what's your I didn't know you had such a huge problem with poop.
I have a huge problem with anything gross and icky. Poop, vomit, pee.
Vomit's not my biggest. That's not my thing. But
I can't. The smell of vomit makes me gag. Yeah. I'm one of those people.
But poop, really? You've never had to deal with poop?
No.
Huh. I can't wait for you to be a daddy.
I dread that day, especially because that means there's at least 10 years. No. Well, there's about. I don't expect that parenthood is really all that satisfying until they get to like adulthood, and then you actually have a person that is more than just a pooper and a crier and a whiner and an instigator and a what's the word?
Are you just gonna label your kids based on their development? Like, all right, it's like, oh, you have a baby? Yes, we have a pooper at home, and.
So are
and
you
his older brother, the instigator.
Are you the kind of person that looks way in the future, or do you live in the moment?
Depends upon.
That sounded like a living in the future kind of thing.
No, because it's a. I tend to bounce between the two. There's no. It's not a step thing. It's I'm both looking at what I have right now in front of me and what's about 1 billion years in the future and won't be attainable or attained or even touched for years.
I don't look at that kind of stuff. I tend to stay. But I'm so excited. I'm getting married in 4 months, 5 months, 4 or 5 months.
I got 2 bachelor parties to
just
plan
over
in
4
that time.
months.
Wait, that's 5 months.
It's like 4 months and a couple weeks.
Yeah,
that's why Anyway, I'm getting married soon. I'm excited.
Get married.
I'll be last.
Yeah, I can't wait to come down for that. Gonna spend a whole week with you.
Yeah.
Prepping.
We're gonna do things.
Prepping for the wed.
And just for, early warning for you, Mark, leave open options for August 2015, because that's, I think, we're shooting for at this point.
That's not this year. Okay, I can leave
Correct.
open options for there, definitely.
It's a little ways down the road.
But yeah, that was kind of, where did we go?
Do you guys ever get an itch for a video game?
Sometimes.
I think.
Have we had this?
Yes, I do. Sometimes.
I've had an itch for a video game, and I've already kickstarted it. I want it.
Oh,
I want it
Kingdom,
now.
Whatever the heck RPG that.
Yeah,
had,
I want like a really realistic medieval fantasy kind of thing where it's like very.
Like a hypothetical video game, not a real one.
Yeah, or a real one.
What I want, the game that I want that doesn't exist yet, is a minimally multiplayer, procedurally generated emergent gameplay type game.
You're such a nerd. I love you.
I discovered the term emergent gameplay this week, and I love it because that's been the mood that I've been in lately. And unfortunately, most of the emergent gameplay type games like Pirates or Mountain Blade are...
Just say it. Just say
clunky.
Eve and get it over with.
Well, yes.
Eve takes that to its extremes,
yeah,
though.
but in that... Well, the other thing...
Explain what emergent
Yeah.
gameplay is. Explain that.
Emergent gameplay is more where the game provides systems that the player, like in most emergent gameplay games, they're single player experiences. So the other people or the other characters or forces or whatever you're playing against in the game are AI systems. Like, for example, in Sid Meier's Pirates, you're playing a pirate and there are a bunch of other ships and countries and whatnot in the seas that you have to deal with. And so you're basically telling your story based off of your interactions with these systems. And so, yeah, Eve does take that to a very, very distant extreme in that instead of having AI systems, for the most part, it's people systems. But, yeah, I don't know. I think a minimally multiplayer version
That would be neat.
would be really cool, where there are more AI systems than just
There's actually something that did that. It's an older game. It's called D&D.
that's a tabletop game, not a video game.
We never specified.
I thought we were talking about video games.
I know, I'm just kidding.
And plus that's not really an emergent gameplay type thing because everything's just in the DM's head.
Yeah, but it's still a bunch of systems that interact and how you interact with them.
I will
Except
acknowledge
it's
that.
not super, because okay, it can be emergent, but it's all based on the DM.
I guess I play it emergent.
If you wanted, you could decide not to adventure and start a farm and then run a business for the rest of the campaign. If the DM felt like it.
I'm going to do that to a DM someday. Be like, nope, I'm moving in here. See ya.
Really, as if you haven't done that before.
I'm the meanest player.
I'm gonna take over this bar with my stupid hat of making me look like every other people. I'm gonna ruin this guy's first DMing experience.
I'm sorry.
He's never gonna want to play D&D ever again.
Neefu DM'd once, and I broke him. Within our first session, I owned a bar, and I had convinced the City Watch that I was the captain of the guard through a series of very well-rolled bluff attempts and a hat of disguise.
I hate you.
Mark, you know how I can use a hat of disguise.
No, that thing is dangerous. All the illusion, well, I should specify in 3.5 edition, man, we're getting nerdy here. But in 3.5, illusion magic is dangerous, especially if your DM doesn't know what he's doing.
I hate you.
I know, I'm sorry.
You can do, even low-level illusion spells can do incredible things if with a creative enough player behind it.
Yeah,
I hate you.
I love you. I had fun with that.
But yeah, so I would love a minimally multiplayer
That would be so much fun.
emergent gameplay type game, which there have been a couple that I've actually kickstarted recently that just seem like they could be really, really fun. There was this one called Planets Cubed, which looked like it took some of the Minecraft stuff, but then put a pretty hardcore RPG system in place, and actually and pull. It was like a cross between Minecraft, Terraria, and an RPG.
I kind of wish Minecraft had some more NPC guys to it, you know what I mean? Besides just monsters that show
Well, no,
up.
and that's the thing. Like Minecraft, the only way for that to be to really have the emergent gameplay type stuff is when you apply systems to it, like we did, like with the towns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'd say that's emergent gameplay. It
Different
gave us tools. We used that to create our own game.
Well, a different type of emergent gameplay than I'm thinking of.
But yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know. I keep wanting to like play like SWTOR or something that I'm like, but that's not what I actually want. I want to play something Star Warsy right now, but I don't want that, and I know I'll get bored of it. And I'll have to start a new character because I'm an alcoholic. Or I'm like, I could play that.
And the first step to recovery is acknowledging you have a problem.
Dude, I've known I'm an alcoholic forever. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I played a lot of Skyrim this week. I spent like the entire week modding the crap out of Skyrim.
And by modding it, he means applying other people's
Yeah.
mods because he doesn't have a...
I don't mod.
Apparently, I'm really irked about... Apparently, I'm in a mood, a grr mood after the
okay.
D&D thing. Grr!
It's okay. I'm just going to throw another poopy blanket at you.
No, that was gross.
Anyway, so I put a bunch of mods in Skyrim and was playing it, and I was playing this one guy, and I got him up to like level 22. I'm just playing. Then I'm like, I wonder what this character would be like if I had focused on light armor. And I just re-rolled him. I'm like, I can't believe I just did that. And I played through to like level 5, 6, something, and then I just stopped playing him and I went back to the other character.
Zam has problems finishing things.
Dude, that's so untrue.
I have problems finishing things.
I'm glaring at him.
Mark has He never even finished Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
Has a different type of problem finishing things.
And you never finished A Link to the Past.
I tried. I gave up.
So you didn't finish it.
Dude, I tried. There's a
finished
difference
it
between.
twice. You let it beat you.
Yes, I did let it beat me.
And I have finished
I also
every
didn't-
Pokemon game besides the ones that I haven't played yet. Which
And
are
by finish,
Gen
you mean
3.
finish the storyline, not complete the Pokedex.
Yeah, but there's no one completes the Pokedex.
Many people complete
And
the
I'm
Pokedex.
actually working on completing the Pokedex now that they have the Pokemon Bank. I'm just gonna, whenever I feel like playing Pokemon, throw a couple Pokemon in there. I have enough games now where I think I can catch them all.
Mark, you were going to say something before we interrupted you.
I can't remember what it is now, other than to say, yes, I can't finish games. I will get all the way to the very last boss, and then I will try to beat the boss, and I will fail, and I'll say, well, I enjoyed the game, and I'll just quit.
I actually do. I do have a hard time finishing games sometimes because
I didn't even get to Ganon. I didn't even get to Ganon.
on Link.
Yeah.
Really? What did you get stuck on?
I just couldn't finish the dungeon.
Wow. Trippy.
This was also forever ago.
I do have a hard time though finishing games. Like I actually had to push myself to get through the end of the story of X and Y because I love the game so much, and I'm like, when I finish it, it's over, and that's sad to me. So sometimes I'll kind of put off playing it, but I pushed through to the end, and now I've got to figure out what all the after game stuff is because there's a lot of it. And that's the same thing that happened with The Witcher too.
Tisk tisk.
I'm like, this game is wonderful.
I believe 3 was delayed until next year.
Yeah. I'm actually going to restart it, I think. Because
I'm glaring at him because what was that? Alcoholic restarter?
here's the thing, though. The Witcher 2 is a very story-based game.
Oh, yes, it is.
And it's a wonderful game, and I highly recommend it. But I got towards the end of it, and the one thing about that game is it is not kind to the player.
Nope.
The combat is difficult.
The first game is even less kind.
Yeah. The combat is
game is
difficult.
so
there's
clunky.
no quest markers or anything. They just say,
Yes, there are.
not really.
They're vague quest markers, and sometimes the people aren't there.
A lot
there are
of
quest markers.
times you would just have to listen and it'll tell you where to go, and then you actually have to go there and find that person yourself. And so I mean it's definitely not nice to the player, and I'm like, geez, it's been a while. If I went back into it now, I don't think I could pick it back up, honestly. And then I'm like, well, I don't mind restarting that game because it was a wonderful game, and I wouldn't mind experiencing all that stuff. But that does kill a lot of games for me.
Which probably explains why you're not too into the story-based games, because you can't remember squat. Lucky for you, the Telltale games have a previously on at the beginning of each episode.
I've actually been kind of thinking about playing Wolf Among Us.
It's good, dude. It's good.
You know, I've beat XCOM, and I just never played it again.
As an enemy unknown.
No, just yeah, XCOM Enemy Unknown. Yeah, I was like, oh, well, that was neat, and then I was like, do I want to do that again?
Did you actually win?
I don't like doing the same story over again.
That is a great game.
Yeah, I don't know actually how far I got, but it just all of a sudden, the difficulty ramped up a lot, and I was just like,
It
okay.
does ramp up at some point.
And
I remember thinking, I've got this down. I can take on any UFO crash. Woo! And then I ran into the septipod or whatever it's called, and it killed all of my people.
And the consequences are so severe for a game, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we've said in a previous episode, or at least I think I know I said it, I think that game is a perfect 10 for me. It did what it was trying to do perfectly.
Yeah, no, that was...
Dang septipod.
I agree. You know what? I've had Warrior Within, Enemy Within for 5 months now. I haven't played it yet. I need to do that.
Oh, that's the expansion, right?
Yeah. With the mech suits and the genetic mods. And...
Well, you know, that game really did get you engaged. Like, I had a sniper that was, like, pretty much, I think he was fully promoted.
Dang it, now I want to play it!
It was fully promoted, and I had him just off in a safe place sniping people, you know. And we had just about wrapped up the game, and we're like, yes, we got this. And then a sectopod that I couldn't even see used his long-range missile attack and hit him and killed him. I'm like, no.
I had a character who...
I could just imagine in a TV show it would have been like, I guess we're doing good, you know? Looks like they're on the run, and then boom! No, dramatic scream.
And you want to save Scum, but you know you can't.
I basically decided I had a character. Her name was Rebecca Sinclair, and she was a assault class psychic. And she was my favorite character because the other favorite character I had committed suicide to save his party. And so I basically got so attached to her that I decided that if she died, I would restart things, and she ended up dying a couple missions later, and then I never picked it back up again. Then I restarted the next time because I was just like, no.
Okay.
This has been a subdued episode.
Yeah.
We need to do something to get us some energy.
Yeah.
There's something I wanted to say. I just want to ask about XCOM real quick. Did either of you end up with especially Zam, did you end up with like one character who was incredibly powerful?
Rebecca Sinclair.
My first playthrough, I didn't get very far before I restarted, believe it or not. But that was actually because I made some really big mistakes, and I was like, I can't win this. My second time through, though, I was really careful to balance it. So I actually had 3 or 4 guys that were crazy badasses.
I had one guy who just became that somehow. He was an assault guy, and he was great. He was a British dude, and he had a mustache. He looked very British. And I realized he was awesome, so I just started relying on him more and more. And then when it came time to figure out if your people are psychic, he ended up being like super psychic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
he became one of my best psychic people as well.
That was basically
so
Rebecca Sinclair for me.
I know in La Mufasa's playthrough, he named one of his characters after, I think, all of us, honestly. And mine was his beat up psychic guy.
The thing that so I did playing of it twice, and the first time I played following a little more of what my traditional style of doing things is, which is kind of just running in guns blazing. So I had a bunch of really strong assault people just running in and killing everybody, and I leveled them up in a way where they were basically really lucky, so that when they were like really close to people, they would miss more. If they were seen, the people would miss. If they were close to people, the other people would miss more. So it was something like that. But then the second time I did it, I was like, okay, I need to try to balance things out more, have a better, well-rounded group, and I really failed incredibly. So yeah, so I need.
I think my main team was like I think I had 2 snipers. You can have 6 guys, right?
Once you unlock the last 2 slots.
Okay, I think I had 1 or 2 snipers. Then I had 2 of the shotgun guys, and then I would do either. I think I actually really liked the medics.
Yeah, you gotta have the medics around.
Surprise. So I either had 1 or 2 of them, and then I had 1 or 2 of like the just machine gun guys. But I liked that because I could have my sniper cover, and then my shotgun guys move in close, and then
now I think about it, that powerful guy I told you about, by the end of the game, he had such a strong willpower, and I also put him in the psychic suit that super enhances psychic stuff, that he could mind control ethereals.
What?
Oh my.
Yes. I would say, okay, attempt to mind control ethereal, and it gives you the percentage, and it would say 98% chance of succeeding.
That's terrifying.
My jaw's on the floor.
I remember the first time I ran into mind control.
Even close.
Oh, that was a bad mission. It went perfectly because it was a really hard mission. It was one of the big story missions.
Because that was like one of the assault on the base or whatever. Right?
Yeah. And I was playing it really careful. And that was the one where I got my team down. I had my assault guys moving in with their shotguns. I had my snipers covering. Everything was moving perfectly. And we were ripping through this base, just one little step at a time, going through perfectly. No one was getting hurt. We were stopping everything. I'm like, yeah, I got this. I get to the end and I'm like, it's just a little guy. Mind controls one of my shotgun guys. The mission goes to hell. It was terrible. Ugh. And on that
FUBAR note, we've come to the end of episode 20.
Question of the week is... What's our question of the week?
You're the question of the week guy.
What did we talk about today?
Death? How do you want to die? No, we already did that one.
That's depressing.
Death and XCOM.
Death and XCOM. Which game do you wish had permadeath?
Sure. Or just Question of the week is, say something awesome to us. No one answers these anyway except for Naroski.
Yeah, cheer us up.
I was gonna say, what is something that you would like to see us talk about?
Yeah, seriously.
That's
considering
our
this
question of the week.
episode didn't have a lot in it. We have some fun stuff coming up. Hopefully in other episodes. So
Yeah, this was a tough week for us, so we had to at least talk about it to you guys because you guys are our therapists.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
If you want to hear more from me, I am Neefu. You can you can see my stuff on Facebook and Twitter at Straight Up Neefu. I have a website that I'm kind of eclectically updating, neefu.com. Zingles Artman here is at Zingles Artman on Facebook and Twitter. Mark is at the page nebula.wordpress.com. And the show here is available on cooldownttimer.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and on YouTube at Cooldown Timer Podcast. Check it out. We got a lot of videos up there. Check out the funny videos that we did from our Amnesia playthrough. We'll see about getting another playthrough up there at some point in the near future. We're still debating on what we want to do. Our thing, we might do one on XCOM, but don't get your hopes up too high just yet until we actually announce anything. With that, we've come to the end of the episode.
Thanks, everybody.
Goodbye.
Catch 'em all.
Goodbye.
Cool down timer, yeah.